This week we're going to talk a little bit about legends. Texas legends specifically is where we'll start, and how they can be both a source of pride and a bit of humor. We'll then move on to some legendary burger making, and then some legendary work done by someone who's helping people feel whole again. So why don't you hop in and travel with me? My name is JB Saletta, and this is Texas Country Reporter.
Are all of the legends and myths and stories about all of our Texas heroes absolutely true and valid? And I always say, probably not. But that's not what's important. What's important is that this mythology that was created of our great state of Texas, all that it means, challenges you and I to be all that we can be and more than we are, to live up to these types of standards of the people that came before us. That's what mythology is all about.
Texas is a place of myth-making and of claim-staking. We love to tell the tall tales of the folks who came out west and formed the fledgling Republic of Texas. And we're not a people to let the facts get in the way of a really good story.
We're on the 98th meridian. We must be on the West Pole. If there's a North Pole and a South Pole, there has to be an East Pole and a West Pole. So here it is.
My friend Terry Boothe, a sixth-generation Texan, comes from a long line of tall tale tellers. At his place in Bee Cave, he's claimed the 98th meridian is the home of the West Pole.
I decided to go to the legislature, and a friendly legislator named Edmund Kemple from Seguin found both the satirical interest in it and the bragging rights. He put together a resolution which was passed by acclamation by the Texas State Legislature, and we became the West Pole.
Here, he invites friends every year to celebrate Texas Independence Day. At the West Pole, he's built a historical shrine to Texas curiosities, relics, and memorabilia. As Terry led me around his place, he showed me family heirlooms, antiques, and monuments to different Texas historical events.
Here was his anvil that he worked on. This is a forge. You turn this, it sucks air in and shoots air into the coals. This coal in here in this bucket are sitting as they were when he died in 1970. I haven't touched them, I haven't moved them.
Really?
Exactly like they were when he left them.
The entire place is somewhere between a visit to a Texas history museum and a foyer into a not yet open to the public Western-style theme park. Terry says, in order to understand the world around us, we've got to make sure to look back at the history that came before us.
Without roots, you're like a cut flower. You wither and die. With your roots, you grow and flourish. That's why I'm interested in history. I wouldn't call myself an expert, but I would call myself an enthusiast and a sincerely dedicated student of Texas history and all of Western civilization.
This whole country is awash in history if you know where to look, but there's something about Texas history that just seems bigger to Terry, more meaningful, more significant, warts and all.
I took the mythological basis of Texas, and was Jim Bowie the kind of guy that I want my daughter to marry? Maybe not. However, he and the mythology built around him and all the other Texas revolutionaries was larger than life, and it challenged you and me to be all that we can and more than we are. So I took that as a challenge that I wanted to share with others, accentuating the importance of Texas heritage and Texas history.
As the pioneers and settlers built up the myth of Texas, Terry carries it on at the West Pole. In addition to celebrating significant Texas holidays, he's also invented some Texas versions of popular holidays of his own, including a little holiday he calls Armadillo Day.
I decided that I would refuse to accept the predictions from a mangy groundhog in Pennsylvania as to what the weather forecast would be in Texas. So I decided what better than the Texas state mammal, who is the armadillo, would be the appropriate prognosticator or forecaster of Texas weather.
Friends, I've never been to Pennsylvania to see that Yankee varmint Pakistani Phil make his weather prediction on Groundhog Day, but I've been to a few armadillo days at the West Pole, and if you ever get an invite, you should be sure and go.
Our armadillo not only forecast the coming of spring, but he also forecasts our political climate. So if the armadillo comes out or goes back in, that means we're going to have a lot more winter. If he stays out, then he's going to go either right or left of the highway stripe. Well, if he goes to the right, then it's going to be conservative politics. If he goes to the left, it'll be liberal.
Yo, Bob, come on down.
Well, he's yet to ever go to the left. If he did, we would do better.
We thank you all for coming and helping us celebrate this great Texas tradition.
Beyond the fun and pageantry of the get-togethers Terry hosts at the West Pole, the mythologizing does have a deeper meaning to him.
There's been plenty of heroic deeds. There've been many complex societies and very well-developed and honorable societies before Texas. But I believe the Texas mythology is a very interesting one, and it happens to be mine. I'm from here. That's why I do what I do.
What are people's reactions when you tell that story, or you turn them on to the idea that the West Pole exists in Texas?
A smile. Always a smile. You know, like, who thought of that? You know, how bizarre is that?
People will always ask, like, is the restaurant business tough, right? And I don't know what to tell them because that's all I know. Literally from a very young age, I've been in restaurants.
Abbas Dhanani's family is deeply involved with the Houston culinary scene. Along with 5 brothers, his father owns fast food franchises across the city. It's where he learned the business.
Growing up, I always went to work with my dad, and then when I got a little older, I was a cashier at one of our restaurants. When I got a little bit older than that, I started training at Wendy's, and I was a manager there and kind of worked my way up, and that's where I really started to understand the business.
But food was always more than just a business to Abbas.
My love for the Houston food scene is so deep, not just because of how great it is and how at a high level we perform as a scene, but just because the togetherness, you know, the collaboration.
In addition to working at his family's restaurants, he started an Instagram account, Houston Eats, with a Z, and began to share the Houston food community with the world.
That's where my passion for food really started. And it kind of went hand in hand. You know, I had this passion and I wanted to show people. So just exploring the culinary scene in Houston, I got the inspiration from all these chefs and different concepts to really go out and do my own thing.
Abbas was observing his friends opening new restaurants and trying new things, and he began to notice a new food sensation.
So I saw that Smashburgers were really starting to take off, and there weren't any in Houston. So I saw these folks that were, you know, experimenting with different concepts, and I was like, why can I not do that?
Abbas had the urge to strike out on his own, striving to serve the best Smashburgers in town, but he was afraid his family would see it as a betrayal.
The way I presented to my family is, look, I'm still gonna do the thing at the family business, but I wanna do this on the side. But when I approached my family, I was completely wrong about how they'd react. They were so supportive that it gave me the courage to just completely step away from what I was doing and just go all in.
Abbas had already been working on his Smashburger method at home. He decided to start doing pop-ups around Houston.
For 22 pop-ups for 10 months, and then we moved into this brick and mortar.
Abbas's focus was always on serving the very best Smashburger he could. But as the idea for his brick and mortar developed, he thought of another dish he loved.
When I decided I wanted to do chopped cheese, it was a snowball effect from there, because I was like, all right, well, chopped cheese, you get them at bodegas in New York. bodegas are in New York. We got to make it feel like you're in New York. You got to feel like you're in a bodega.
Abbas has the place decked out with bodega-type decor, but if you look closer, everything is all about Houston. It's a fun concept, but the proof is in Abbas's food. He told us the secret to a perfect smash burger.
The best part of a burger is like the Maillard reaction. When it hits the grill, that crispiness. It's just that reaction really changes the chemical properties of the beef and changes the flavor. And I think what makes Smashburgers special is the entire burger is just that. You see what I'm saying?
Burger Bodega's success hasn't changed Abbas's dedication to the Houston food scene or his affection for the area's Pakistani community where he has deep roots.
So during Ramadan, we try to do fun things like a cheeseburger samosa, which is our classic cheeseburger and the classic Pakistani samosa, and putting them together. And of course, we have things like the mango lassi on the menu that also really showcases the love I have for my culture.
Abbas might have started his own business apart from the family, but they taught him the ropes and he hasn't forgotten that.
I'm way older now than I was when I was working in the family business, but I just want to make them proud. So I feel like I've done that.
They say that a good artist is always in search of their next masterpiece. There's a yearning to capture life's fleeting moments on canvas or in blocks of clay that drives painters and sculptors alike. Behind every set of delicate hands is a mission to create something special, something that will leave a lasting impression on the world. And that's what Dwight Putnam gets to do each and every day.
I did a lot of work for zoos and casinos, museums, animal habitats, that sort of stuff. A lot of fake rocks, fake trees, fake dinosaurs, themed characters, and that sort of stuff. But in the end, as I transitioned from being a sculptor into prosthetics, I found that my patients were a much more appreciative audience for my handiwork than my previous clients were. So it was a good trade-off.
Scottish Rite for children in Dallas is probably not the first place you think of when you imagine artists finding their true passion. But it was down in the basement of this orthopedic specialty hospital where Dwight discovered his art could enhance lives in ways he never imagined.
At a certain point, when I was working as a sculptor, it was a feast or famine. You're either working 24 hours a day or not at all. And so there was actually an ad in the paper for somebody to come and sculpt hands and fingers and noses and ears. Part of the application process was that they handed me a plaster cast of somebody's left ear, a couple of clay tools and a lump of clay, and said, "You've got 90 minutes to sculpt the mirror image of that ear." And that was my interview. And it was funny because they ended up using my interview piece on a patient, so it worked out well.
So what's your role now?
I design, deliver, and fit all kinds of prosthetic devices. Basically whatever a kid needs in the world of prosthetics. If I can't figure it out, I can just look to the next bench over, and I've got a specialist there who can help me figure it out. So everything that I'm able to do because of the team behind me. And so whatever we produce on whatever level, it's always, to me, it comes out to be art, and so because there is so much heart and so much feeling involved in the piece. But the fact that these are actual functional pieces and that the kids are actually wearing them on a day-to-day basis, that's different, because usually these things that I would be making previously would just be there, part of the background. But in these cases, they're centerpieces, and each one of these things are a super important part of these kids' lives, and it's like we're able to deliver a personalized piece of art every time.
You want to walk again?
Dwight and his team create more than 300 limbs a year, each one a unique piece of functional art.
Still feeling tall?
They've helped musicians and athletes continue to do the things that they love, all the while showing people that no matter the challenge, life will go on.
There's a lot of anxiety, of course, when parents are, they have a kid that's born with a limb difference. They're wondering, is my kid going to be able to walk? Is my kid going to be able to do all the things? And so to be able to talk with those parents and offer them examples of, yes, your kid's going to be great. All we got to do is get a leg underneath them, and we'll get them on the right track. And so to watch the anxiety just release when they sort of see that kid take their first step in their prosthesis, it's always sort of a magical moment.
Have you gotten to know a lot of these kids and their families?
Absolutely. You become embedded with the families over time because you're seeing them. Basically, the lifespan of a prosthesis is only 15 months. You're able to make changes over the course of the 15 months to sort of keep up with the kid as they grow or the damage that they do to the prosthesis. You're able to sort of replace the different parts. And so you see them on a really regular basis to make those adjustments, and you really do become part of the extended part of the family. And so at Scottish Rite, one of the first things you sort of learn is that the word family is a big word because it doesn't just include your work family, it includes the entire population of patients that are here as well. All right, is that knee still working? Yeah. Okay, so does that one okay in the height?
Dwight's family has grown significantly over the 18 years that he's worked at Scottish Rite to include kids like Elena Norman, who he started seeing when she was just 3 years old.
It's fun to come here. It's kind of like a second home, and I could just probably walk through it with my eyes closed.
Does Dwight feel like family after all this time?
Yes, he's like an extensive family member because we've seen him for so long, and I would always give him hugs when he was at the door. So yeah, it kind of feels that way.
We'll see if this one's any better. I have relationships with all of my patient families, and they're always sending me videos of what the kids are doing with their legs or updates of what the kids are doing with the leg, and so it's just things like that. It's just little things, and you get to see the pictures of the kids doing just normal kid things and them not realizing how inspirational what they're doing is. And so it's cool to watch them do it so effortlessly and know that your efforts are a part of that. I often refer to us as the pit crew down here. We make them the fiberglass race cars, and they go out and they run the race of life, and they blow a tire, they blow some suspension, they come down and see us, we put them back on the racetrack, and get them do what they need to do in the device that they've got. I don't think any of us could be any more fortunate than we are to have that as our goal and to be a part of that.
Dwight Putnam may have left the art studio behind a long time ago, but he never stopped making art. He makes masterpieces every day as he gives children back their childhood.
Is that better? Oh, there's tears here all the time. Even for me, I cry all the time, and I think that's just a part of the job because of pretty much the magic that this place produces in general, our department in general, but also the hospital. It's really rare, I think, for somebody as a job to have that immediate of a contribution to somebody's well-being, that you're able to sort of see it instantaneously. And so to be able to just be a part of that process is just awesome.
How long do you see yourself doing this?
I always joke that they're probably going to end up having to dig a hole for me out in the front lawn because I'll be here for a while.
The legends of Texas are a source of pride for me and Texans everywhere. And I look forward to next week when we'll continue on our journey down the back roads of Texas, looking for legendary Texans wherever we can find them. In the meantime, my name is JB Saletta, and this is Texas Country Reporter.